With me live now in the Canberra studio is the Greens leader Christine Milne. Senator Milne, thanks for your time. The presidential advisor to Joko Widodo has written in the Straits Times today that the objection that Indonesia has to Australia's representations on behalf of Chan Sukumaran is to the manner and the tone of the intervention, the warnings and the thinly veiled threats. What do you say to that, given there's a bipartisan position here when it comes to the death penalty and the representations made on behalf of Sukumaran and Chan?
Well, certainly the lives of two young Australians are on the line, and so the letters that I have co-signed with the Prime Minister, with Julie Bishop and with Tanya Plibersek and Bill Shorten have all been very respectful letters. They're in no way threatening, but I think it does go back to the remarks that the Prime Minister made with regard to foreign aid. I think that was taken very badly in Indonesia, and I think that's probably what is being referred to there. But I think what we all need to do is focus on the fact that the best way of approaching this is seeking clemency and urging Indonesia to think about human rights and to provide clemency, and for the offer of Australia to help Indonesia in its bid to get clemency for its own citizens, also on death row in other places around the world.
When it comes to the Prime Minister's comments, the Foreign Minister repeated this morning, I spoke to her earlier, and she said that it was a reporting in Indonesia. That was not the Prime Minister's message. It was about reaffirming the strength of the bilateral relationship, that she had reassured the Indonesian authorities on that.
Well, she certainly has reassured the Indonesian authorities, but everyone saw it in the manner in which it was reported in Indonesia. When people heard it in Australia, that's the immediate reaction people had. Why are you drawing attention to the fact that we provided aid when we absolutely should have? So I do think the Indonesians took it for what it was. The Foreign Minister has tried to reframe that debate, but clearly the reference in Indonesia now suggests the Indonesians have seen it in the light of the original comment.
When it comes to the domestic politics now and the higher education reforms, the Minister says he will push ahead with them this week. The Greens aren't budging. Do you concede that something has got to be done to put our universities on a more sustainable footing, given we have deregulated essentially one element of the higher education system in terms of the numbers going in, but we haven't deregulated the price structure, therefore quality will only inevitably be diminished?
Well, something has to happen, and that has to be that we fund our universities. The Greens went into the last election when the Labor Party in government said they were going to cut the funding to universities, and we said no, we will not support cutting funding to universities, and we still won't. Now,
where does the money come from then?
Well, precisely, $2 billion is what the government wants to take out of universities, and they're essentially cost shifting. Instead of taking it out of consolidated fund from the tax income, they're going to take it out of the pockets of students. What we're saying is, well, let's look at superannuation. We've put on the table a proposal that would bring in $10 billion over the forward estimates. That way, those who can afford to pay. The $2 billion goes into universities. We need to fund universities. You know, this government finds $200 million at the drop of a hat to give to mining companies as a subsidy for exploration, for example, but they keep saying they have to cut universities.
But if you don't support
this is the future.
If you don't support this deregulation, do you accept now that the crossbench, the Greens, that 1,700 research jobs could be at risk here as a result of your decision not to support it?
No, it's only a result of Christopher Pyne and his ridiculous linking of the jobs of 1,700 scientists with university deregulation. I mean, that is the kind of standover behaviour. The government tried to do it on co-payments with Medicare. They've tried to do it on so many things. If you don't give us what we want, we're going to punish you. It's like sitting in a sandpit saying, if you won't give me that toy, I'm going to throw sand in your eyes. Well, we're not going to accept the attack on research. The fact is, Australia can be a great leading innovative nation, but we'll only be that if we fund research and development in universities. We have to accept the days of digging up, cutting down, shipping away are over. We need to invest in imagination and the brain space.
Let's look at the renewable energy target. The Labor Party looks like, well, Bill Shorten wants a deal done in the next fortnight on the renewable energy target to reduce the amount of power that is essentially provided by renewable energies under that RET system. Are you comfortable with the numbers that are being talked about here? Upwards of 30,000 gigawatt hours provided by renewable energy?
No, I'm not. I sat next to Bill Shorten on the stage at one of the community meetings we had, and he stood up and said to the audience that Labor was not for turning on the renewable energy target. And now clearly Labor is for turning on the renewable energy target. We don't need to compromise. The government created this issue. We had 41,000...
You don't accept jobs are at risk through the, the big emitters, the emissions-intensive industries in the short term, if there isn't some tweak here?
Well, the issue is whether you stay with 41,000 gigawatt hours as the target to 2020 and then increase the renewable energy target after that. Instead of that, what they're doing is trying to attack renewable energy. We should be shutting down coal-fired generators. That's what we should do now. If there's 9,000 megawatts too much energy in the system, let's shut down Hazelwood in Victoria. We've been trying to do it for years. It's a dirty old power station. Why would you wind back solar and wind, the jobs generators, the renewable energy, dealing with global warming? Why wouldn't you do that rather than what they're trying to do? And so now we've got Labor with its round table, and frankly, it's to bring together those people who will give Labor cover if they go for the compromise. And I think that's a bad idea. We need to stick with 41,000 gigawatt hours, and the government will back down. They back down on co-payments. They're going to be defeated on university deregulation. We should defeat them on their attack on renewable energy.
Christine Milne, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Karen.